I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now.
The Doge team is run by Elon Musk, who has been subsidized by so many taxpayer dollars, he gets to make rockets that get caught by chopsticks. You don't see it? Another great thing is like this lady over my shoulder, like someone pointed out the where she stands, we usually over to the side of her, it just says the whitewashing. It's pretty great. But anyways, so the right wing has developed an even more seemingly unfounded claims to latch onto and run with when it comes to government waste. This time they're centering around Politico, but yet again, it seems like they didn't get their facts right. According to News Nation reports, the false claims appear to stem from a post by conservative commentator, whoever this guy is, connected a semaphore story that showed Politico staffers hadn't been paid over a technical error that was subsequently fixed to a usaspending.gov page that shows Politico received $8.2 million. Here is the post, 8.1 million or whatever. But of course, right wingers took the claim at face value and ran with it, eventually having it land on Trump's radar. Here's Trump's tweet. It looks like billions of dollars have been stolen. My God. I saw someone's like, there's across the world, everyone sees that the president can't write Stalin correctly. Stolen, he spelled it wrong in front of everyone. They're like, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy. At USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a quote payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing, quote, rag known as, quote, Politico seems to have received $8 million. Did the New York Times receive money? Bro, if you found out about Politico, why don't you just look up the New York Times? Rhetorical questions are a certain type of question that are asked if you can't get the answer to it. Just don't. It's one of my pet peeves when people ask rhetorical questions there are answers to. Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all. Perhaps the biggest in history. No, it's not. You tried to overthrow the Constitution. The Democrats can't hide from this story about Politico getting $8 million, which it didn't the way you said it seems. Too big, too dirty. Now, Politico did receive $8 million from the government, but it was for subscriptions for its services, according to the New York Times. Records show on usaspending.gov, a federal website that tracks government payments, show that federal agencies have paid Politico for subscriptions, including to its Political Pro service. The money allocated to Politico across all agencies is more than $8 million in the 2024 fiscal year, record shows. Politico Pro offers policy-related resources and tracks news and legislation and has more than 30,000 subscribers, according to a Politico overview. And additionally, USAID paid $44,000 to Politico during the 2023 and 2024 fiscal years, according to recent reports, which describe the two contracts as for, quote, E&E news subscriptions, which cover energy and environmental issues. Agencies under the Trump administration have also paid for subscriptions, according to the records. And according to the New York Times, in 2017, the executive office of the president set aside $97,720 for a payment to Politico. Okay? And that was when Trump was president. Again, a common practice. In a memo to its users yesterday, Politico editor-in-chief and its CEO released a joint statement. And in that they said, Politico has been the subject of a debate on X this week. Some of it's been misinformed and some of it's been flat out false. Let's set the record straight. Politico is a privately owned company. We have never received any government funding, no subsidies, no grants, no handouts, not one dime ever in 18 years. The company then clarified that most Politico Pro subscribers are in the private sector with a 90% renewal rate, quote, because they rely on our reporting data and insights. The statement also says government agencies that subscribe do so through standard public procurement processes, just like any other tool they buy to work smarter and be more efficient. This is not funding, it is a transaction, just as the government buys research, equipment, software, and industry reports. Now, even though everything was cleared up, it wasn't good enough for Trump and Elon Musk, because, Elon's opinion matters. In response to one person who noted that a $517,855 payment from the FDA in 2020 was for Politico Pro, Musk still called it a, quote, wasteful expenditure that will be deleted. And guess what Trump did? According to an email to the General Services Administration, a Trump administration official wrote, GSA team, please do two things. Pull all contracts for Politico, BBC, Energy and Environment, Politico Sub, and Bloomberg. Pull all media contracts for just GSA. Cancel every single media contract today for GSA only. Note, GSA manages real estate procurement and technology services for the federal government. And this is most likely just the start. All right, that's a lot of information to throw at everybody, but it seems like the formula is determine who your enemies are first. Do anything you can to find any kind of modicum of a stat to go after any media organization specifically that is not utterly friendly, tongue up your butthole loving of you, and just go after them, tar, feather them, and then send an email that you barely thought about being like, terminate all contracts with them. This despite the person being in charge of government efficiency getting billions of dollars in government subsidies, not transactions, but subsidies. JR, please make it make sense.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying. There's a lot going on here, right? As you mentioned, this is the quickness of lies spreading around versus having the exhausting process of fixing each aspect of these lies. So again, like you said, some rando at the top decided to just make something up. After he made it up, MAGA leadership, folks in general, like, this is a great thing to lie about. Let's lie about it. All the way up to the president, all the way up to the Doge guy, and even the press secretary to come out and just say, yeah, that's the truth. And then when someone comes and says, actually, that's not the reality, they just shut up and move on to the next lie. This is the process. This is the government. And by the way, this whole thing when they've pulling GSA and no longer going to do any of this other stuff after they've lied about where this money comes from, it's only shooting themselves in the foot. There's actually probably some usefulness to the reasons why the government, all the way up to these guys, did pay for these services. Do have connections to things. We talked earlier about the military and how they're no longer going to have these trainings, at least temporarily, while they figure out whether or not sexual assault trainings and prevention and counseling has anything to do with the president's executive orders to stop things like that. We don't stop to think about how horrible that sounds. But as these things get taken down and deregulated and put into skeleton crews, disaster happens. And again, what are they gonna do about it when disaster happens? Who knows? But they're pissed about $8.2 million. Think about $8.2 million. And in that post that Trump put out, he put the whole number with the zero. So it can look so big, right? $8.2 million to the federal government. While this a-hole, Elon Musk, spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get this guy into office, bought him off, and has made billions since. Can we put that in numbers? Can we put like $400 billion in numbers with all zeros so we can talk about how much this guy has made off of his purchase of the president? It's all a game. It's all an illusion. It's all just a showboat to make. Why is it? I was gonna call these folks a bunch of names, but I'm trying to stop doing that. Not because this is gonna change anyone's minds, but just I feel like it lowers the conversation a little bit. So these folks who don't think that clearly will see a large number and think $8.2 million is a total waste of money. Where's that gonna go? You don't know. And if he saves that $8.2 million that you think is going to fraud, waste, and abuse, where's the document that's showing that it's going into your pocket? After he cuts these hundreds of billions of dollars from the federal budget that's so fat, how do you know where it's going? Do you know where it's going? Is it going to your paycheck? Is it going to your empty ass bank account? No, it's not.
Yeah, I had covered this story for Rebel HQ, and my main grievance with the story was JR's grievance. It was how quickly something, whether it's true or false, can spread on social media. So if what Kyle Becker had said in the first place was actually true, then it would have been lucky. As far as we know now, it wasn't true, but it doesn't matter because once a thing has been said, it becomes part of the zeitgeist. It's already been planted in people's minds. So many people now believe this is true with such certainty that nothing anyone says can sway them away from this belief. Kind of strange how tightly they can hold on to a belief that they didn't really even have a day or two ago, but now they're so married to it. And the big issue that people have with this quote unquote revelation, which turned out to just be business as usual and nothing newsworthy at all, is that the government is giving money in one way or another to these news outlets that they don't like or support. It feels conspiratorial because suddenly they have an explanation as to why certain media outlets like Politico, like the Associated Press don't seem to like Trump. The actual reason is too simple and too insulting to their own intelligence and to their beliefs for them to accept. Ergo, it all has to be some kind of grand conspiracy from the government. And then Trump calling this the biggest scandal of them all. And Elon saying this is a huge waste of taxpayer money, obviously. It's like they were just grateful that the internet came up with this on its own to distract itself with. So they were just like, yeah, sure, so crazy, $8 million. $8 million is negligible to people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, because as JR pointed out, Elon Musk, his personal wealth has grown by billions of dollars since Trump was elected as president. So $8 million is nothing. And Elon Musk knows that. He also knows that it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of what he's trying to do in our government. But as long as people are losing their minds over this $8 million, and as long as they're blaming the expenditure on the Democrats, even though both Republican and Democratic administrations were subscribing to these same outlets, then people aren't so worried about what Elon and Trump are actually doing. What they're actually doing is trying to wipe out trillions of dollars in government spending. Trillions is such a big number that most people can't even comprehend what that means. $8 million compared to trillions, again, is nothing. They are gutting your healthcare. They are dismantling the Department of Education. They're not holding the Pentagon accountable for not passing any of its audits. But sure, yeah, let's talk about this $8 million to Politico instead.
Well, that's specifically the difference, right? Because my argument would be that they're not trying to cut any money from the government. I mean, I know the way in which you're saying it, like, oh, our purported goal is to get rid of trillions of dollars. No. Their goal is to turn what the government is in charge of into a privatized initiative off which specific insiders in his network can make money and then always owe him something back. Period. And the Pentagon, while being public sector, has so many private contractors, they're already making money over there. So that is already a check mark. Being in the public sector, check mark, it doesn't matter. So much of it just goes straight into the pockets of Raytheon and all these other folks, right? Department of Education. They don't want to shut down the Department of Education. They want people to be this precise amount of stupid they are before they go to school. Like, that's so useful for them. But they also want to privatize the education system. They also want to privatize every remaining public part of the healthcare system, privatize Social Security, and make money off them. That is what they're doing. So when they go out and and in the meantime, they're going after Politico because they have this logical fallacy. Like, typically, I don't think that a certain thing can be good or bad. I think the good things about it are good, the bad things about it are bad. If you say Politico is bad, you're making a gross generalization, right? Like, things Politico does are bad. This thing that Politico's doing, where they like have a service and people in the government and people that aren't in the government pay a fee for it, like, that's not bad. Their reporting frequently sucks. It's access journalism, all that stuff. But this is no. You can go after that. And the dynamics that make Politico's reporting quite frequently dog crap has nothing to do with what these guys say. But again, their fans are all about it.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.